longest day of the year? Or is it the longest month of the year? I don't know. It feels like a really long month for me. Well, hello there, Enchanted One, and welcome to Spirit Throw Me a Bone, your spiritual lifestyle channel, where every week we come together to cultivate our connection with the Enchanted Universe and coax Spirit to throw us a bone. Hello there, I'm Brenda Paradiso, and I help people just like you find magic and meaning in daily life. So tonight we're going to start by creating sacred space, as we always do on our Spirit Throw Me a Bone streams and our time together. So I'm just going to spin around and we're going to light some candles and create sacred space, because this is your time. This is sacred time. And you know how we do this, folks. We imagine a blue light creating a sacred container, a sacred circle around us in the physical space that we occupy right now, and also that includes all of us here tonight in virtual sacred space. So let's get started. By the air that is her breath, welcome East. By the fire of her bright spirit, welcome South. By the waters of her living womb, welcome West. And by the earth that is her body, welcome North. As above, so below, we are in sacred space. Hello again, Enchanted One. So good to have you with me tonight. It is a long day, right? Longest day of the year. The light is with us for the most longest period of time here on the summer solstice. Let's see if I can get in the middle of the frame here. And I hope you've had a beautiful summer solstice day so far. Thank you for joining me. It sure is light outside still. So let's get some background music going on, guys. So a little bit of catching up for me to do, folks. As you know, last week I was in Denver. Went to see my daddy, my father, who is elderly, and he was coming home from rehab and settling into his home in Denver. We enrolled him in hospice. He is just not going to go back to that ER again, and he's not going to go back to rehab again, and he is going to spend all of his days at home. So we got him all set up there. My brother John and I were out there, and then I was joined. John went back to his home, and then my sister Fran joined me out there as well. And so we got to spend some time with our dad, and we hope to be able to visit him again for his birthday next month. So in the meantime, you guys know that I've been preparing my home for sale, and that has been a big push. So when I referenced earlier, has it been the longest month of the year? It feels like it has been for me in many respects, juggling a lot of things, personal things with the house and my dad's health and all that. But I am back tonight in my little makeshift studio, which I just put back up after after doing all kinds of things in this room, including painting and whatnot. So Who knows where I'll be streaming from next week, guys? It depends. It depends on how the week ahead goes. But yeah, it's been a crazy busy month. And you know, they say that astrologers agree that June is probably the most eventful month of 2021. You know, there's a lot of things going on. We know that Mercury's been retrograde. We know that Mars was opposing Pluto. We know that Saturn and Uranus has come together once again. And yeah, just a lot of action in the sky. And I certainly have been feeling it. Oh, and of course the big eclipse that we had in Gemini. So while Mercury was retrograde. So, you know, I've got my handy dandy little almanac out. You know, I have my own personal astrological almanac that I ordered from this group called the Honeycomb Collective. And it's great because you give them your birth time, and then so they like do like an almanac or like a calendar that has not only the transits in the sky, you know, as of that date, but also like, you know, the aspects or the transits to your natal planets. So it's a great little book. And then it's got all kinds of charts in it. And one of them will tell us when Mercury goes direct. And I think, if I remember correctly, Mercury's going to go direct on the 29th. But let's just double check that. Here. No. Wow. It's going to go direct. Oh, this is really good news. On the 22nd. So it's going to station direct at 18 Gemini on the 22nd. So what is that? Today's the 20th, Wednesday. Now, here. So the title of my stream tonight is Divine Timing, the enchantment of divine timing, right? So, for example, when thinking about listing my home for sale and having it ready to list for sale, you know, when I first was meeting with a realtor, I was like, oh, we have to avoid Mercury retrograde. You can't do any of this when Mercury's retrograde, you know, because we know when Mercury's retrograde, we don't want to be doing anything contract related, you know, travel related, communication is a way of getting messed up, all that kind of stuff. But you definitely want to avoid contracts and planning and that type of thing. But, you know, if the market's really good, we didn't want to wait. You know, summer is moving on, and just like, it's just the time to get a house on the market now, or even like a couple weeks ago, right? So it was, you know, it's hot now, but it's getting less hot, they say, you know, every day. So no time to wait for Mercury to go direct. So we had these plans to list on the 14th. Like, that's when we were going to go live with our listing on the 14th, because I like picked out this electional chart, you know, that was beautiful. It was like a beautiful, I think I talked about it on the stream. But the thing about that electional chart, an electional chart being like you elect to do a certain thing at a certain time based on the astrology of that time. So, but the thing about that chart was that it was a very watery chart. You know, it was like the day after the eclipse, and you know, or a bunch of planets in water signs, beautiful aspects. You know, there was an approaching moon Venus trine, I believe it was, in water, and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't the kind of chart that described an event related to listing a house. It was more the kind of chart that described a very like emotional, beautiful, artistic type of an event. And so I tried to kind of rationalize why that would be good for for what I was electing to do. Well, but it didn't matter anyway, because we were not ready on the 14th, right? Mercury retrograde, you know, we were just behind, and it's just been such a struggle, you know, to get the contractors in, to, you know, do things that need to be done inside the house to prepare it for sale. You know, one thing after another we would have to address that we didn't plan to address. You know, like just different things in the house. And so that's the thing about divine timing. Even when you consult the oracles, guys, even when you consult the oracles, spirit has its own its own time clock, right? And so, trying to get this house listed with this really watery elected chart that I came up with was like, I see now, like trying to fit a round hole in a square peg. But what was it a beautiful time for? Well, it was a very emotional time, right? It was a time of family and siblings. The eclipse struck my third and my ninth house. What happens? I'm coordinating with my brother John regarding my dad's care. I'm traveling to Denver, spending a lot of communication with all my siblings regarding my dad's health, and the arrangements that we're making for him in his last days, weeks, and months. So, wow, like that's the Enchanted Universe. It's like, Brenda, like third, ninth house eclipse, siblings, right? Travel, right? Like watery things. So it's going to be like all emotional. There were plenty of tears shed on my part, seeing my dad ailing as he is, and anticipating saying goodbye to him, of course. So yeah, that's it, right? Like I tried to make something happen that wasn't going to happen, right? But you still see that the oracle speaks, and it speaks to you in a way. And if you're listening, you may be able to recognize or anticipate what the Enchanted Universe will deliver, but we don't always know. But after the fact, we see that, well, yeah, the oracle spoke and it described an event that was exactly like what occurred, right? Spending time with my siblings, the emotional event of, traveling to see my dad and see him ailing, and enrolling him in hospice, and telling him I love him, over and over again, and him telling me the same. So it was beautiful. It was but it was emotional. It was watery, And so the Enchanted Universe spoke. I had a different agenda, but it didn't work out that way. Surprise, surprise, right? So now, what do we have? And again, Mercury's retrograde the whole time, right? So now Mercury's going direct on the 22nd. Guess what? We were a week behind listing, right? So now, instead of last Wednesday, it's this Wednesday, when guess what? Mercury goes direct. Isn't that funny? So now we finally list the house. So you guys, that is it. That's the Enchanted Universe for you. The thing about astrology and the tarot is that, it speaks to you, and if you're listening, you might recognize what Spirit's going to bring forward, but you may not. But then afterwards you will recognize, well, yeah, this was a manifestation of the archetypal presentation that the oracle provided, but it just wasn't what I was thinking. So how about you guys? How did this big eclipse work out for you? It really was a beautiful eclipse. For me, it was in the third and the ninth house. For you too, Robin. Kathleen, do you remember what house we talked about for the eclipse for you? Gemini. I'm wondering if you remember. We can take a look at that. I keep playing the same background music, in case you didn't notice. So let me hear something. Put something there in the comments, guys, about what the last couple weeks have been like for you. It's been a whirlwind for me. Wondering, what are your experiences with this Mercury retrograde? It has not been, as far as Mercury retrogrades go, one that's been particularly difficult. Because why? Because Mercury's been in its home sign of Gemini, right? So it's going to behave a little bit better than normal. Like if it was like in someone's house that it wasn't comfortable, like if it was an Aries or something like that. But it's been a Gemini, so not so bad. Nothing awful, but delays and having to redo things. That kind of thing. I didn't have any travel issues. Like my flights didn't get screwed up, anything like that. That kind of thing happens when Mercury's retrograde. So yeah, interested to hear how it was for you. I'm gonna pull up my computer here. Maybe we'll look at a little bit of astrology. What do you say? So I think there's something beautiful going on with Venus and Neptune involving Pluto though. So let's see if we can take a look at that. I just saw a little sort of like a headline on YouTube about that, and I want to take a look, and perhaps that's what we'll talk about a little bit tonight. Let me see here, guys. Okay, so Kathleen says you can't remember exactly, but whirlwind seems to be the key word. Yeah. So whirlwind being like just a lot of activity for you over the last month, perhaps this Mercury retrograde. What about you, Robin? Anything regarding siblings or communication or teaching or sort of a mindset kind of reset with this new moon eclipse in Gemini in your third or ninth, but it's on that third-ninth axis. So all right, well, I was going to look here. Come on back. I'm pulling up my astrology program, guys. Keeps wanting me to update it, but I never have time to do that. My astrology program just give me a message to update. I've only been turning it on when I'm looking at it with you, and not the time to update when you're about ready to go live. So, all right, let me get us here. There we go. All right, so this was the eclipse, all right, and that would be Taurus rising. Well, funny how that works. You know, our kids, they never really leave the nest, as they say. So Robin is feeling very empowered, feeling a lot of power and skills, and several work challenges went like you were a magician. So in terms of like magician, like with your piano tuning or just organizing in general, that's good to know, Robin. Okay. Alrighty, here. I just want, so Kathleen, you're Taurus rising, so this new moon eclipse was in your second with money. So did any of these whirlwinds involve the use of your resources, your finances? One would expect that. Okay, let's look at today's chart. Current transits. There we go. All right, so what I'm looking for, this Venus Neptune action. Okay. All right, so here it is. Okay, so down here, guys, we have Neptune at 23 degrees Pisces. This is a current chart of what the planets are like out in the sky right now, okay? So, and you see Venus up here in Cancer, right? So they're both in water signs. So that's a hint to you that there is a trine, which is a flowing aspect between the planets, okay? Which is good, right? So Venus is in an applying because it's at 22. It's moving towards an exact trine to Neptune. Neptune being the slower moving planet, Venus is moving towards Neptune. That trine aspect. So an applying trine, Venus trine Neptune, which is beautiful, right? Venus is a planet of beauty, love, and harmony, and aesthetics, and all that kind of stuff. And Neptune is otherworldly beauty and transcendence, and all that type of thing, mystical stuff, spiritual oneness, all of that. So Venus trine Neptune is very loving, altruistic, enchanted energy, but it can be a little bit like rose-colored glasses, like maybe too much of a good thing. You know, Neptune kind of clouds the reality of a situation, so you might want to be a little bit careful under this aspect. Something may look just beautiful, and in fact, it turns out to be too good to be true, right? So we've got that beautiful trine, right? But here's the thing. Is that Venus is opposing Pluto still, right? Pluto, you know, Hades, he can be a bit of a troublemaker. Very intense, complicated, willful, power hungry even energies with the planet Pluto. So Pluto's going to dig up maybe the shadow side of that Venus trine Neptune. So just be aware that things can get a bit intense with all of those lovely things I was explaining with Venus trine Neptune. It's beautiful for like making music, making love, making art, making poetry, right? But with Pluto involved, it's going to be intense. It could involve some type of a power trip or power struggle. So the thing is, just be clear about the motives of others, I would say, with Pluto involved in the action. But it may also be like you finally, you know, see through that Venus trine Neptune illusion with Pluto involved, because Pluto is going to come in and, you know, dig deep and look into the dark shadows, you know, what really is actually there. Okay, so it's kind of a double-edged sword, but intensity is the operative word when Pluto is involved. So guys, what houses are we talking about for all of us? What houses are being triggered? Well, let's see here. All right, so for you, Kathleen, this is your third and ninth house. So this is about your beliefs, right? Your beliefs, and even your belief systems, spirituality, religion, all that kind of stuff, philosophy, or just your way of thinking about things generally. You know, if you're involved with any activities in the neighborhood, there could be some travel involved, but there could be something, because like neighborhood kind of stuff is third house, and the Venus there trining that Neptune in the third house can be like neighborhood sort of stuff, siblings kind of stuff, just teaching things in your immediate environment that you're making beautiful, perhaps with that trine to Neptune coming out of your 11th, which is friends, right? So an opportunity for some, you know, beautiful socializing, spending time, you know, with artistic pursuits, with friends, perhaps. Maybe you're reconnecting with your Kennedy Center folks and enjoying, you know, some activities related to the arts, because, you know, that's something you all probably have in common. But remember now that Pluto is involved, so there could be some intrigue involved, right? So Pluto in the ninth, opposing that Venus, but that is trining that Neptune. So Again, you know, just if it's a beautiful vision of something, it looks like too good to be true, it might be too good to be true. All right, so just discernment is the key word there. And the same thing goes for us generally, Robin. Us Libra risings. Let's get there. Okay, there we go. So, oh boy, isn't that interesting? Well, there you go. 10th, 4th house axis. Hey, talking home, family, structure, roots, father. Yeah, father. So, and then so that Venus is transiting the 10th house. So, you know, there's your, you know, the 10th house is our career or just what we're doing out in the world. So, Kathleen, even though you're retired, you know, what is it that is providing your public face? Okay, so that for you, even though you're retired, that would be 10th house kind of stuff for you. But Robin, obviously, you know, you're still employed and actively employed, so that would be your work. So yeah, so I would say just, you know, it's a, and then that Neptune is in the 6th house, our 6th house of work, toil, health, service. Yeah, so some opportunities for service, people serving us or us providing service to others. Yeah, so it's a pretty altruistic energy. So let's think about that. 10th trining, 10th house of career, reputation, all that kind of stuff. Trining that Neptune in the 6th house of service, health, work and toil. But again, that Venus does oppose that 4th house Pluto. So that's where the tension kind of comes in. You know, maybe all these beautiful Venus Neptune things, but you know, Pluto in the 4th house, home, family, roots, father, ancestry. You know, there could be some power issues going on, some difference of opinion even about what is beautiful and perfect and ideal. So there you go, guys. Okay. All right, guys. So that's what I have for you tonight. You know, it's again, Mercury is going to go direct on the 22nd. It's going to station. So this is what Mercury does. Mercury and a lot of planets do, but Mercury you're most familiar with as a retrograde type of planet, I'm sure. So it moves along in a forward motion, then it slows way down. Like right now, it's starting to slow way down because it's getting ready to station, basically stand still on the 22nd, right? At the 18th degree of Gemini. Okay, so that's in our 9th house, Robin. And in your 2nd house, Kathleen. And then it's going to turn around and then go direct again. And then move on out of Gemini and work its way towards Cancer. So, yeah, that was Mercury retrograde, or is. We are winding down. So, I just, again, the Enchanted Universe speaks, right? No matter what I tried to do to get this house listed before, it's, you know, it's not going to listen until Mercury goes direct. It's just that the gods have spoken, particularly Hermes. Oh boy, guys. Okay. Well, that's what I have for you tonight. I hope that you guys are hanging in there. Just a couple more days of Mercury retrograde. Rolling, we continue to roll with this eclipse energy until the next eclipse. So, so be thinking about that, remembering, you know, what the lessons of this eclipse have been so far for you. And I hope that you join me next week. You know, next week, I have no idea where I'll be streaming from, quite frankly, next week. My hope was that, you know, I had anticipated, because next week actually is the 1-year anniversary of Spirit Throw Me a Bone. Let me change my camera. There. Really, it's the 1 year anniversary of Spirit Throw Me Bone. Can you believe it? 1 whole year I've been streaming, haven't missed a single Sunday night. Some have been brief. Some, I think one was actually ended up being recorded, the one that I did from Colombia where I didn't have a good internet connection. But a whole year, guys. And I really appreciate you being with me on this journey. But as I said, I don't know what's going to be going on next week. I don't know, I don't know what's going to happen after we list our house this week. So, but my hope was to do an anniversary stream. And it's also, I guess, next week is Carmen Cocktails, right? It's the last Sunday of the month, right? It is, right? Let me just double check here. Yeah, the 27th would be the last Sunday of the month. So, I was going to do this whole big thing, Rob and I, about the anniversary, but I just don't want to, I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. I think it's going to be a crazy, crazy week with listing this house. I'm not even going to be able to be in the home for a few days. So I'm thinking I might just bump the big celebration for the first week of July. Although then that's 4th of July. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I'm looking forward to getting back to like a regular, schedule in terms of my ability to prepare for you guys and bring you quality content, which I know last several streams have just, haven't met my standards, but, I figure my mantra all along has been come hell or high water, I'm going to stream every Sunday night. So, because, I think it's important that we come together every week so that we remember that we're all connected in this most wonderful, excellent adventure called the Enchanted Universe and Spirit Throw Me a Bone. So, guys, I'm going to wrap things up here. Why don't we just go ahead and open up the circle and we'll be off. Okay? Let me play this background music one more time. Okay, so here's how we close the circle. You guys know the drill. We're going to go in the opposite direction. We're going to start in the north, go all the way back around to the east. And we're going to release the circle and thank the gods of the directions for joining us tonight. So, let's get started. By the earth that is her body, thank you, north. By the fire, by the waters of her living womb, thank you, west. By the fire of her bright spirit, thank you, south. And by the air that is her breath, thank you, east. As above, so below, the circle is open. So once again, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I know that you guys have already subscribed and liked and all that good business, so I'm not going to bother you with those reminders. So I'm just going to tell you now, until next week, same enchanted time, same enchanted channel. Be well, be true, be sacred,